Welcome to the Character Sheet, Comic Book's official home of all things tabletop and fantasy. I am your host, Christian Hoffer, and today I am joined by two very special guests to talk about a big announcement that is going to impact the entire tabletop RPG industry. I'm here with Ankit from Roll20 and Peter from Demiplane. Now, you may be wondering, what are these two people doing together in the same interview? And well, I'm going to leave it to you two. Why are you here? Why are you on this YouTube channel together?
Well, first of all, huge fans of the Character Sheet, so thank you for having us. And second of all, we have a fun announcement, and it's as of basically today, Demiplane and Roll20 have completely joined forces. And so for us, we were talking one day over lunch, and Ankit and I said that there were two problems that everyone had when it come to playing games. One was making sure that you knew how to play a new game you wanted to play, and that's something that Demiplane helped with. And the second one was scheduling a game and being able to play if someone couldn't make it, and that's something that Roll20 helps with. And so we kind of joked around that that was something we could solve, and next thing you know, here we are.
Yeah. Just to be clear, Roll20 is purchasing Demiplane. This isn't a partnership. It is a partnership, but it's not like, like a temporary thing. This is permanent. This is, this is it.
This is the thing. Yeah, it's been great. It's been good the whole way through. And really what it came down to was, for us, our objective has always been to get all the great games that we partnered with in front of as many eyeballs as possible. And so as we looked around and said, okay, how can we do that? What are the ways that we can do that? We knew we had to think creatively. And so we approached Roll20 and said, hey, what would you think if we had a way to get the millions of users that Roll20 brings to the industry and add them into the hundreds of thousands of users that Demiplane was growing? And so that was something that was really valuable for us. And the other thing that we saw that we knew was something that was good for the whole industry was that about 40% of all of Demiplane's users last year said that they were new. It was their first time trying a tabletop game. And so we knew that if we could do that for lots of folks, find ways to get new players in the game, that would be really valuable. So at least from Ankit, I'll let you go, but it was a no-brainer for us, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, and on the Roll20 side, I just go back to our mission. Our goal was to help connect gamers everywhere and help get them into games so that they can hang out with their friends and family. And what we've been doing, under Roll20 now, Drive-Thru RPG, DM's Guild, Demiplane, Dungeon Scrawl are kind of all under the roof. And our end goal is to create a seamless user experience where people have one place to purchase their content. They can seamlessly take their characters from in-person to the VTT. They can buy PDFs, print-on-demand books, or digital compendiums. And the goal is just to make it easier for everyone. So, while it's a long-term vision, Demiplane was a key part of that. And the thing that we really loved about Demiplane is that they made it easy for new players to get into their games and for people to take those characters into in-person and online games. Mm-hmm. They saw a need in the market that no one else was really helping solve, which was to build D&D Beyond for all the other game systems. A fun fact on Roll20 is the average player plays I think it's over 3 different game systems during their lifetime. It's not like people stick to one game for their entire lifetime. People try 3 different games. And we had a lack of parity where it was easy to get into a D&D game because of D&D Beyond and the Roll20 Character Mancer, but it's much harder to get into all the other games because of the lack of a good character builder. And Demiplane fills that need perfectly.
So I have a few questions about how all of this will work for users of both platforms. Assumably, as you mentioned, eventually you want to create like a seamless experience. At least on the outset, will Demiplane and Roll20 be, remain separate platforms? How soon will there be like cross functionality?
Yeah, it's a fun question to ask on day one because that's what everyone's excited about. I think at the outset, the immediate benefit that the industry is going to get is if you're a publisher, if you're on Kickstarter, you can call Roll20 and we can help you distribute your PDF, get you on print on demand, get you a community content program, help you set up a VTT module, and now help you set up a digital compendium, and potentially character sheet and character builder. So if you're an artist or a writer, it's a lot easier to talk to one person or one team and get you set up for the plethora of things that you need to get your books out there. Mm-hmm. And that's a little bit easier to do on day one. And I don't want to overpromise for my engineers, but after this acquisition, our top goal is really to integrate all the pieces together. And that's going to be a fun yet challenging problem to solve for our designers and product managers and engineers. And there's so many different ways that the user journeys could go, but eventually we see this as one seamless experience. There's probably one marketplace where you can buy physical digital books, VTT modules, and you can build characters for in-person play or VTT play. And we just want to give users as much optionality as possible so that they can play the games how they want to play them.
Yeah, great answer.
Kind of like flipping that around on the Demiplane side. One of the obviously like the big draws for Demiplane has been the character builder. That has expanded exponentially over the last year. My players use Demiplane for Daggerheart.
Awesome.
That's the reasons why they just slotted into that game system so seamlessly. So, how will this impact the individual Nexuses, both in the short term and in the long term? Are we, because one of the things is Demiplane has kind of had, I don't want to say a little bit of curated. They've picked which games to build.
Correct.
Roll20, you guys are, your umbrella is much wider. You have hundreds of systems. Are we going to see hundreds of Nexuses for all the individual games? Or is it still going to be we're going to pick and choose? How will that work? And yes, I know the answer is probably I don't know. But, I have to ask these questions anyway.
Yes, yeah. What I would say is this: we had a great time building Daggerheart, and it took us. We were able to do it pretty quickly, and so we've gotten to a point now where the team behind building the Nexus is really able to do so really effectively and have a lot of fun doing it. And the output from that process of going in and waking up every morning and going to work and working on awesome games results in the character builder and a character sheet that your friends are using and you're using to play Daggerheart in whatever version that it is, based on where you are in the playtest. And so, please first fill out your surveys, and second, thank you. And so for us, what that means is that, we knew that there's a whole world of adventure that's out there that we weren't covering. We had a lot of coverage, and we planned our initial first few Nexes based on game mechanics and ways that would help us learn what needed to be unique across games. And then as we got further and further along, we could see what things were shared and what things weren't. So we got to a point where we felt pretty good about really stepping on the gas. We started to do that last year. We did about 6 or 7 game systems across 6 months after taking some time. I think everyone knows that we took some time building that core platform that we were working on. And we looked out there and said, okay, how can we feed that appetite? Because we want more. We love these games. How do we do that? And so again, when we looked at DriveThruRPG and Roll20, we just saw a huge library of opportunity. And I think the fun thing to say would be that everything's going to get converted and we're going to step on the gas and run through all of them. I think the reality is that there's certainly going to be a way that we need to figure out to determine which ones are going to really play out best, and not just best for us, but best for the players, best for the publishers. Ankit mentioned Kickstarter. There's a whole Kickstarter economy that's out there of people who are trying to get their game recognized, and now to have an opportunity of potentially connecting that in with something like Demiplane is really interesting, a great way to bring new players in. And also we've been doing playtesting with Daggerheart, with Paizo, with others, to be able to just bring on sort of our version of early access, but into the tabletop space so people can come in, try games, and provide feedback early. So, all of those things I think are going to continue. Which games get picked first is always going to be a dynamic and exciting discussion. We have more voices now as we move into Roll20, but we also have a massive library that opens up. And so I'm really excited about it. I'm not afraid of what that means, but I know we've got a lot to choose from. And the way that we do that I think will remain dynamic.
So how will this work then? So for instance, my players, they're in the Daggerheart playtest. What's going to change for us now that Roll20 and Demiplane are being integrated or are coming together? What changes on day one? What's going to, and what changes are ahead? Just using that as an example.
Yeah. Well, on day one, you'll log in and have just as much fun as you did the day before. So that's the great thing there is we're continuing to support all that work. There's some things that we'll work through on things like subscriptions and other areas, and we need to work through those together for everybody. But on day one, all those things will continue to work, and the fun can still be had. So that's the number one priority for us, and something we agreed to. And then as we start to look forward at beyond, what happens as we continue to move through time, that's where for us what gets excited is bringing all these libraries and opportunities closer together. So I think what you'll see is a very concentrated effort to bring the distance between each of these different solutions that are now under the Roll20 brand, really start to bring them closer, both in really in digital proximity, so that all of a sudden you can start to use these things, across the whole platform, whether you're playing in person or online. So that's a lot of small cuts that end up making a big difference over time. So you may not notice them one by one, but it's something that we're really committed to, in addition to continuing to bring out a whole bunch of great games on our platform and find out really unique ways to bring Demiplane into Drive-Thru RPG and the virtual tabletop.
I do want to talk about, kind of a question that I'm sure, I don't want to call it the elephant in the room, but a question that a lot of people are going to ask, because, Demiplane, Demiplane was in the process of building out a 5e Nexus that,
Right.
was the system agnostic, or not specific to Wizards of the Coast products.
Right.
And, Roll20 has a partnership with Wizards of the Coast and that licensed material. I guess the question is, how is all of that going to work and integrate, because that's already kind of a little bit of a question that a lot of people ask, because, Roll20 has very deep partnerships with Wizards of the Coast. And are people going to see, Roll20, suddenly have a D&D Beyond alternative that uses official Wizards of the Coast products?
Yeah, we're happy to serve publishers and partners as much as we can and try to be as helpful as possible. But the truth and the awkward timing around this is that, Roll20 has been building a new character builder and character sheet for Wizards of the Coast and the new edition coming out. And that is coming out in a matter of weeks, at least early access. And so, to answer the user question, yes, users are going to get a fantastic character builder and character sheet experience, but it's going to be on the Roll20 platform, which is going to serve as a very massive upgrade compared to the existing offering of our Character Mancer.
Okay, that's but thank you. I appreciate that. That's gave me more of an answer than I expected.
No, and so what I was going to say is, if folks want more information, we've been pretty public about it. We've been working with Wizards of the Coast on it, and there are blog posts on the Roll20 blog website that show screenshots, that show survey results, and a bunch of other stuff. It's been really fun working to build out this new experience for our users.
Now we've talked about the largest tabletop RPG publisher out there. You guys mentioned earlier and kind of like the indie side of things. Assumably, will this open up the possibility of, I'm an indie, I'm a indie one-page, RPG maker. Can I get a Demiplane character sheet builder? We already have some Roll20 support. Obviously, if it's on Drive-Thru RPG, it can be integrated into Roll20. So will we see, the scale open up? Not only the biggest publishers out there get access to this really great suite of options, but also the indie RPGs, the smaller guys too.
Yeah, I think, Ank, I can take this one, and I think as we've talked a lot about what that means in the publishing world and what's our priority, and I think for us the number one priority that we have and that we've always had, Demiplane, Roll20's always had, now it makes a great handshake, is that we want to make sure that there's a digitally native game format for players, whether they're playing online or in person. And that's a difference between whether you're playing online or playing in person, but to have a game format that's digital allows you to transcend both of those things. And that's what's really exciting for us. And with that, I think that there's a right size glove for each one of those solutions. And for us, it's about making sure that the systems, the games, the publishers, and what the players want have that glove first, then we work our way through. So a one-page RPG is probably going to work best as a one-page RPG, and now there's a digital solution in one single place. And if we find that there's a 356-page RPG that is akin to a chemistry textbook, but we all know that we read it front to back and we absorb it and we argue about it and all those things, then the nice thing is that there's a great way to do that, whether you want to have it on PDF or if you want to have it, kind of the cliff notes, and you're able to build characters quickly and maybe even discover other opportunities through Demiplane. So, really it was about how do we make sure that there's as many digitally native formats first across the industry, and it's one place where people can go and get it. And then as we continue to dive in and work, which solution fits which type of game, because the last thing we want is for a digital solution to get in the way of playing the game. And sometimes sometimes it's what enables the game, and sometimes it's because that's where you can get it. And so for us, that was really key. And I think that we've now got all the pieces in the right spot to make that happen.
Okay. One other final question. Obviously, whenever there are two companies that are like merging together or one is purchasing the other, there's always like the human side to things and things like that. Little bit of a hard question to ask, but assumably, this purchase means the Demiplane developers are sticking around. You guys aren't going away, anything like that. The team at Demiplane will be sticking around, and the team from Roll20 obviously will be sticking around as well. Is that correct?
Yep. So we have all the developers that have been building all the character sheets, the tools, the platform. Will be staying with Demiplane into Roll20. There's one person that is not making the jump over to the new organization, and that's Adam Bradford. Adam has been just a super important person for us. He's been really, really critical on getting Demiplane off the ground. And as we moved into this was just a spot where both organizations looked at each other, Adam and Roll20 and Demiplane all looked around and said that there's a path here, and Adam wants to take a different one. And so for that, we wish Adam the best. And yeah, it's really, I'm really excited to see where Adam goes next. I think he's going to do some amazing things.
Agreed. I think Adam's mark on Demiplane and then in the industry as a whole is massive, and we're very excited for what he does next. It's undeniable what he's done for everyone, but the rest of the team is coming over, and we're excited to continue building with them.
Okay. I think the best way of ending things is, one final question. What do you see as the future for this new organization, and how do you think it's going to impact the tabletop industry as a whole?
For me, it's going to be ease of use and reducing barriers for the entire industry. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to build your first character, to get into your first game, to try out playing TTRPGs. And we think the combination of the Roll20 BTT and the Demiplane character sheet ecosystem is going to do that. And on the publisher side, one of the big problems to solve is when you build a Roll20 character mancer or you build your first character sheet, you sink, I can't say peoples and peoples of time, and it boils down to, person years of how long it takes to build a digital character sheet. What Demiplane has achieved on the character builder side, what Roll20 has achieved on the virtual tabletop side, is to really reduce that cost and barrier so that we can serve more publishers, more game systems. And yes, Christian, to your earlier question, our aspirational goal eventually is to serve everyone. And I think this is an iterative step in that direction. We just have the scale and the reusable engineering components to where we can move a little bit faster and to serve more partners. And that's how I see us kind of helping the industry.
Yeah, I think the other thing that happens, just to add on top of that, is the more folks that get to try something new in the tabletop role-playing game space, the more creative minds you have in it. And so for the games that exist today and the way that people play the games today, it's now become easier to explore new ways of playing. And for those folks that come in, there may be something new that we haven't seen yet, and that might be triggered by making the rest of the games easier. Easier to get into, easier to play, easier to find, easier to explore, all those things. And so I'm excited to see how tabletop role players, who are honestly the best at creating something out of words on a page and create these awesome, adventures and stories and lifelong friends, what happens when all of a sudden you can explore many different things in what normally would take years. Ankit mentioned people play 3 games over the course of their lifetime. What if you could play 20? And what if that meant during that time you could come up with your own? And what could that do? That type of stuff is so fun to think about, having a creative foundation that you could explore what that's like. I'm really excited to see what this industry does, and I'm excited to be here and be a part of it.
Same.
Okay, well, there you have it. Demiplane and Roll20 coming together, and you heard it here first on the character sheet. Thank you very much, both of you, for being on today. This was big news, and we appreciate that you came here to share it. So,
thanks for having us.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying thanks. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. No, you guys can come on whenever you darn well want.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, on that note, be sure to like and subscribe to the character sheet. Be sure to check out Roll20 and Demiplane in the coming weeks and months. I'm sure they're going to have a lot more exciting announcements about what's ahead for both platforms and this the combined company. So stay tuned to that. This is going to be one of the big stories in tabletop, probably for the entire year. So we'll stay tuned to that. Awesome. Well, until next time, thanks very much for watching.